Are you looking for the best NFL bets around? Then get ready for the NFL's Week 6 IDP Plus Moneyline Podcast. Welcome back to the IDP Plus Moneyline Podcast. My name is Johnny the Greek. How we all doing? Happy Week 6, everyone. Hope you guys had a good Week 5. It was much better over here. We are back to our winning ways. Had a winning record last week, 6-5. Only 1-2 in the article, but we can't be hot everywhere. And I talked about this in the article a little bit earlier this week. Actually, came out yesterday. I like to look at other people's betting content as an idea generator. I'm never just blindly tailing, blindly tailing. I'm looking for ideas and then using those ideas for myself for my own bets. So I suggest that's what you do as well. With that being said, let's get into it for Week 6. Before though, as is tradition, these are not even suggestions. We're just discussing the bets I might be making personally. Set a limit and stick to it. For help with problem gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and we will get started with Week 6 now. We're obviously going to skip 49ers Seahawks. That is kicking off momentarily. So we'll start with the second London game in a row. This Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Jaguars at Bears, even though it's a neutral site game. Right now, Bears are favored by 1.5. Jacksonville is getting 1.5. Around about minus 115 or so, either way on that. Over under of 44.5 points. If we went money line, it's Jags plus 108, Bears minus 126. And I've got an interesting one for this. It's a little bit more of a gut feeling, but there is some science to back it up. So I want to take Travis Etienne under 41.5 rushing yards at minus 114. So he's definitely dealing with a shoulder injury that affected him last week to the extent that he only had 5 carries in the second half, and they kind of intentionally pulled him and let Tank Bigsby carry the load last week. Unintentional side effect of that was Bigsby went absolutely crazy. He had over 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. So he's kind of established himself as a solid option now for Jacksonville, and is probably going to steal some carries anyway, to start with. Never mind that Etienne has already, missed some practice time and had limited practice this week due to that shoulder injury. And he retweaked it in that game last week. This has been an ongoing thing. So there is definitely a chance that they back off him completely and let Bigsby kind of run the show this week just because he's healthier and he's obviously very productive. So shouldn't be much of a change from production. And it's a long season. They don't want to, completely destroy Etienne right away. So I feel like he's not going to get as many carries as he normally gets. That's going to be Bigsby. Chicago is a much better rush defense than what Indianapolis was last week. And Etienne did not do very well last week at all. I don't think he got past this line last week. If I recall correctly, it was 20 something rushing yards. It was not great. So, this has not been going well for him to start with. I think he's only cracked 60 rushing yards twice so far this season. So not great odds to start with. And, Chicago, legitimate defense, whereas Indianapolis was not last week. So a little bit risky. Feel free to skip this one if you're not interested, but I'm going to go Etienne under 41.5 rushing yards at minus 114. All righty. Next game is the first 1:00 game for Sunday. It is Commanders at Ravens, which should be a very good one. We've got Washington getting 6.5 points, Baltimore giving 6.5 points, roundabout minus 110 either way. Over under of 51.5 points. Massive over under there. Vegas expects quite a bit of offense in this one. The money line right now is Baltimore minus 300, Washington plus 245. So Vegas is fairly certain that Baltimore is going to win. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's not where we're going to go after here. I want to do Zay Flowers over 54.5 receiving yards at minus 114. So Washington is mediocre at best as a pass defense. They're middle of the pack for sacks and pressure. And they would be lower for that ranking, except they haven't had their bye week yet, and some other teams have. So that's kind of messed with the ranking a little bit. We've got a huge over-under. It's the second highest over-under of the week at 51.5 points, which means we should be expecting a shootout and a back-and-forth affair. And when we've seen that so far this season with Baltimore, it's been Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely that have been the main engines of the offense. In the lower scoring games or in the blowouts or in the defensive struggles, we get a lot more Derrick Henry. I don't think that's what we're dealing with this week with this Washington team. I think we're going to have an air show. And if we're going to have an air show, Zay Flowers is going to be heavily involved. And that's not a huge line for him, 54.5 receiving yards. That's totally doable. Pretty good price at minus 114. I do like that one quite a bit. Very high degree of confidence in that one. All righty. That takes us to number 3, first divisional game of the week, another 1:00 affair. Bucks at Saints. New Orleans is getting 3.5. Bucks are giving 3.5, minus 110 either way. Lower over under 41.5 points. If we went money line, it's Bucks minus 178, Saints plus 150. And this one is very straightforward for me. I'm going to take Tampa Bay money line at minus 178. They are up against Spencer Rattler, who is a rookie quarterback in his first ever NFL start against grown man defense. That typically does not go well for the rookie quarterback their first time ever. Plus, Kamara has missed practice this week, is questionable. I believe he got a limited practice in today, but he's clearly banged up. Same deal with Raheed Shaheed. He's also banged up and got limited practice in today. So their offense is hurting a little bit. Derek Carr's not going to be there, obviously. So, that's not great. Defensively, Will Harris is likely out for the Saints as well. So they're a one-dimensional offense to start with. They really love to run the ball and kind of rarely pass. When they do, it's like a play action shot to Shaheed or the occasional third down throw to Chris Olave, etc. I don't think we're even going to be getting much of that this week. They're going to be very one-dimensional, try and run and play defense, and kind of drag Tampa Bay down into the mud with them to try and win this game this week. And I'm just not seeing it. The Bucks are too good of an offense. They're the 9th best offense in the league at points per game. Excellent passing attack, decent run game. Rashad White's been getting better each and every week. Pretty solid defense. Levante David woke up last week, looked awesome, had a massive box score. One is a complete team and one is a team that is, riddled with injury, starting a rookie quarterback in his first ever start. That's about as easy as it gets from these eyeballs. So let's go Tampa Bay money line minus 178. Next 1:00 game is going to be Browns at Eagles. This one is a bit perplexing, but let's get into it. So right now, Vegas has the Browns getting 9.5 points, Philly giving 9.5 points at minus 110 either way, over under 42.5 points. If we went money line, it's Browns plus 410, Philly minus 550. So I do not want to touch this. This is more of a gut feeling thing, but this is the classic trap game for Philadelphia. They should absolutely clobber these guys. That's why there's the 10-point spread here. Vegas thinks it. I've been talking to Philly fans this week. They do not think it. They know what I know. This is the classic trap game for Philadelphia, where they're playing an inferior opponent that's got all kinds of issues. And instead of playing at their level, they're going to go down to Cleveland's level. And it's going to be kind of a crappy game, I think. And, if Philly wins, it'll be a last second field goal type deal. I have no data or science to back that up whatsoever. Just, 36 years plus of watching football and seeing this movie before. That's the data and science I've got on that. So definitely just a gut feeling. If there's something you like in this game, fire away. If you did, really want to place a bet, I would go JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, over on his combined tackle prop, as long as it's not insane whenever that comes out. Because, while we don't know how this game's going to go, we do know Saquon Barkley is going to be heavily involved like he has been every other game this season. So that's pretty much a sure thing. And when there's a large dose of Saquon, it's always good to have the opposing inside linebacker. They're going to get easy run stopping and run stuffing tackles, and that's a good floor. Then we just, need to get lucky with a couple more tackles, and bam, he's right over his line there for tackle props. So that's what I'm thinking. Stay away from the game itself. If you're hell bent on it, go to JOK when that comes out. And that will take us to the next 1 o'clock game, Colts at Titans, another divisional game. Right now, Indianapolis is +2.5. Tennessee is -2.5, roundabout -110 either way. Over under of 43.5 points. If we went money line, it's Indy +120, Tennessee -142. And here's what I'm thinking with this. So we targeted this Indianapolis rush defense last week, and we got it right. I just got the player wrong. That's what happened. I said Etienne. It was Bigsby. They still had over 150 yards rushing on the ground against this absolutely horrendous Indianapolis rush defense. I just picked the wrong player, and that could absolutely happen again this week. I'm going to say Tony Pollard over 60 plus rushing yards, alt line -150. It could easily be Tyjae Spears doing this instead. But we have seen Pollard do this in 3 of 4 games already this season. So, 75% of the time he's doing this already, which is a pretty good floor to start with. And the only game he didn't surpass this line was against Green Bay, where they were in like an immediate negative game script, had to abandon the run game to try and pass their way back into it. So anytime it's been a closer game and he's had the ability to get his normal amount of carries, Tony Pollard has gone over this line this year. And I think against a hobbled Indianapolis team that's starting Anthony Richardson, who's clearly not very good, that they'll be in the game. They'll be close enough to run the ball, and that's all we need. If Pollard gets like 15 plus touches, this is pretty much a done deal. He should get over 60 rush yards, alt line at -150. And just once again, that Indianapolis rush defense is the second worst in the league. They're allowing 157 plus yards on the ground each week. They don't have DeForest Buckner. They don't have Tyquan Lewis. They don't have Samson Ebukam. They probably won't have Kenny Moore. They don't have Juju Brents. So they are just shredded defensively right now. Plus, they've got Anthony Richards starting this week. So any chance of putting Tennessee in a negative game script just got flushed down the toilet. Joe Flacco might have been able to get out to a quick lead and, put Tennessee behind the 8 ball and make them abandon their run game. But Anthony Richardson, I don't think is going to be able to do that. That's just not who he is. So I think we're looking good for this. Tony Pollard over 60 rushing yards, alt line -150. And that will take us to Texans at Patriots. Right now, it's Houston -6.5 at -120. Patriots +6.5 at -102. Lower over under of 37.5 points. Money line is Houston -335. Patriots +270. So Vegas is pretty sure Houston's going to win the game. I tend to agree. And I want to take that Vegas line. So the Vegas line was 7 a couple days ago, which I did not want to take because if Houston had won by exactly a touchdown, we would have been screwed. And that sucks because if you look at the average winning margin across the NFL and all of history, there's a lot of 7-point wins. There's a lot of 3-point wins. There's a lot of 10-point wins, right? It's in denominations of touchdowns and field goals combined together, right? So I did not like that original line. Sometime in the last 2 days, it went down a half point. So I love it right now. So I'm going to take Texans at -6.5 at -120. Houston is the the first overall, the best passing attack in the league right now. New England is the 25th overall pass defense in the league, and they're very likely going to be missing both starting safeties this week. Duggar due to injury, Peppers due to stupidity. So beyond that, they've got a rookie quarterback making his first ever start against the 4th overall defense in the entire league right now in the Houston Texans. The Texans are also 8th overall with their pass rush in total amount of sacks through the season. So this all adds up to, a high chance that New England's going to be in a negative game script at some point pretty shortly after the game starts. And then how are they going to get back into it? New England has the worst passing attack in the game. They do not even clear 120 passing yards per game. That is a real statistic. And they're starting a rookie quarterback against guys like Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter this week. It is not going to go well for them. So I want to take Texans -6.5 at -120. And, we should be looking good there. Oh, yeah. And totally missed this. Also, the Patriots have the worst offensive line in the league. Number 32 from Football Guys, number 32 from PFF. So it's going to be a long day for Drake May, and it's going to be a good day for Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. So everything is pointing towards Texans winning by at least a touchdown in this game, which, we had this conversation about Cincinnati too, and look what happened there. So we never actually know, but on paper, this is all pointing towards a Texans bloodbath in week 6. All right, start your season with a bang with IDP Plus. Use the promo code PROPS, PROPS, for 20% off your subscription. Gain access to exclusive tools, in-depth IDP articles, and much, much more. Plus, don't miss out on our private subscriber Discord. Sign up now at idpplus.com/membership. All righty. Next 1 o'clock game is Cardinals at Packers. Right now, Arizona's getting 4.5. Green Bay is giving 4.5. -118 for Green Bay, -104 for Arizona with the spread. Higher over under 47.5 points. If we went money line, it's Arizona +210, Green Bay -255. And I love this game for many reasons. This feels like it's going to be an air show. This feels like it's going to be a back and forth affair. This feels like we're going to have plenty of scoring. When we've seen Jordan Love under center for the Packers, they're averaging just about 30 points per game. So that's a ton of offense right there. And that pretty much means that Arizona's going to have to pass the ball to stay with them. They can't run their normal offense. They can't run their normal game plan of just hand it off to James Conner, 20, 30 times, dominate time of possession, and win ugly, which is what they like to do. They're going to have to air it out this week. And with that in mind, I want to take Marvin Harrison over 50 alt receiving yards at -156. So this is a very low and easily achievable number for him. He's part of a pretty good offense. We know that he's going to have to be involved if Arizona wants to hang with this Green Bay offense. That's really the bottom line with this. Beyond that, Jair Alexander has missed the last 2 games, is beat up, just returned to practice in a limited fashion, and we've seen that movie before too. He's been at practice in a limited fashion and been declared inactive. At least once this season that I can remember, maybe more than once. So, coin flip whether or not the Packers get their best cornerback this week. If they don't, this looks even better. And then also Green Bay is within the worst third of the league for pass defense to begin with. Rashawn Gary is not having the pass rush metrics that we're used to. The Green Bay defense just is not as good as we thought it was going to be. So I think Arizona can hang with them. And I think if they want to hang with them and make this a game, they're going to need, they're going to need to rely on Marvin Harrison a little bit. And, 50 receiving yards out of him is not a large ask on our part. So I think that's totally doable. So, yep, that was Marvin Harrison over 50 alt receiving yards -156. And that will take us to our first 4 o'clock game. It is Chargers at Broncos. Chargers -3, Denver +3. Chargers -3 is +100. Denver is -122 for the spread. The spreads, which is interesting. We've talked about this before. When we see that +100 number, it means the public has been betting Denver with the spread quite a bit. Enough that Vegas has flipped that number from probably like -110 to +100. They're encouraging bettors to bet the Chargers -3 so that they don't get absolutely destroyed if Denver wins by 3. So interesting, little side note there. It has nothing to do with our bet, but just an interesting side note. Okay, over under of 35.5 for this game. Money line is Chargers -154, Denver +130. And when we've got such a low total like this at 35.5 points, it gives us a little bit of an opportunity. We did this last week with, I believe it was Denver and the Raiders, and we got this totally correct. We're going to take that super low total, tweak it down a few points, use an alt total and then say over that alt total, because it's not going to be very much offense needed to make that happen at all. So we're going to go over 32.5 alt total at minus 178. Yeah. And, we're looking at 19 and 17 points per game, respectively, for these two offenses. So we should expect about 36 points out of this matchup. That's going to give us, a few points of clearance, 3.5 points of clearance on the alt line, which is pretty good. That gives us a buffer. That gives us some room to work with. And beyond that, I mean, anyone with eyeballs can see that Bo Nix is clearly improving each and every week. He's actually throwing touchdown passes now. He's not just running them in. He's not throwing interceptions anymore. He's completing passes. He looks like an NFL quarterback. He's definitely improving. And along with him improving, Javonte Williams is improving. If Bo Nix is playing well, then you can't just load the box against him and make him pass. If he's dangerous, then you got to back some of those guys off into coverage, and that makes things a lot easier for Javonte. So this Denver offense in general is improving each and every week, and put up I think it was close to 30 points last week against Vegas. So I think we're looking good there. And then the Chargers, their biggest issue was health. They are coming off a bye week, so we know Justin Herbert's going to be doing a little bit better with that ankle injury. Maybe Josh Palmer will be back from that injury he had. We know that their run game is excellent to begin with. I think asking for 16 points per team out of this matchup is not a lot, right? I mean, these are not the best offenses in the league, but they are certainly capable of giving us 32.5 points between the two of them. So I think we're looking pretty safe with that alt total over 32.5 at minus 178. All righty. Our next 4 o'clock game is Steelers at Raiders. Right now, Pittsburgh is -3. Raiders are +3, minus 110 either way. Over under of 36.5 points. So second lowest over under of the week right here. Las Vegas thinks we're getting a stinker. I tend to agree. Money line is Pittsburgh minus 162, Raiders plus 136. And I'm going to go the other direction on this one. I'm going to tweak it up a few points and then go under on the total. We're going to go under 39.5 minus 180. So if we look at the points per game between these two teams, we should get about 37 total. And I don't think we're going to get 37. I think we're going to get fewer than that. The way I think this thing goes is this is going to be Aiden O'Connell's first start this season. So beyond practice, no real live game experience since last year. He's obviously going to be a little rusty. Devontae Adams is banged up. Zamir White is likely out. Pittsburgh is reeling after 2 straight losses and still has one of the most dominant defenses in the league. I think Pittsburgh is going to go back to what was working for them, which was running the ball, dominating time of possession, playing good defense, and choking the life out of the other team. I legitimately think they can hold the Raiders to like 10 points or fewer, win by a touchdown or a field goal, or a touchdown and a field goal. And in that scenario, we're still only looking at like 30 points. And, we've got 9.5 more as a buffer right there. So I think this is a pretty easy Steelers win, even though they're on the road. They're clearly the better team. And I think their defense continues to show up, holds Aiden O'Connell, who, has not played yet this year, to not very many points. And I think that's how they get this done. This one's a little bit more of a coin flip. Definitely feel free to skip it, but this is just how I see this going in my brain box. All right. Want a little extra in your fantasy football bankroll? Deposit just $10 with FanDuel and get $50 in bonus bets. It's the perfect boost to kickstart your season. Don't wait. Claim your bonus now at idpplus.com/FanDuel. All righty. Next 4 o'clock game is Falcons at Panthers. Right now, Atlanta is favored by 6.5. Carolina's getting 6.5, roundabout minus 110 either way on that. Over under of 46.5 points. Money line is Atlanta minus 260, Carolina plus 215. And I'm going to take Bijan Robinson over 60 alt rushing yards at minus 160. He is a little bit banged up. He did just get it added to the injury report today. I believe it was for a hamstring. Can't remember at the moment. So, abort mission if he's not looking healthy before kickoff. If you don't see that green healthy plus or whatever it is on whatever site you use by Saturday morning, just skip this. just skip it, right? But if he's healthy and he's good to go, the Panthers are allowing 144 plus yards on the ground each and every week and are missing their best linebacker in Shaq Thompson and possibly their second best linebacker in Josie Jewell, who hasn't practiced yet this week and missed last week on top of that. So in that scenario, last week they started Trevin Wallace, a true rookie, in someone chairless. I can't even remember the dude's name. That's how far down the depth chart we're talking to get starting members of the defense for the Carolina Panthers right now. It's not great. So they were not a great defense to start with, and they're missing their key run stoppers, the inside linebackers, the guys that are the most responsible for stopping the other team's run are not going to be there this week, right? So Atlanta is already favored by a touchdown. I think it could be much worse than that. Carolina's been getting their brains beat out the last couple weeks, even with Dalton there. And Dalton has kind of brought the team back to life a little bit, given them a real offense again. Hasn't mattered, right? They are bad enough offensively and certainly defensively that they're still getting killed by everyone, right? So I think Atlanta wins their first blowout of the season here, and they'll be salting the clock away late. And, that's where we get a whole bunch of easy run stopping tackles if you're going to bet IDP. But it's also where Bijan, if he doesn't have 60 rushing yards yet by that point, has plenty of opportunity to get over that line. So I like that quite a bit this week. And that's not a large ask from one of the best running backs in the league, 60 rushing yards at minus 160. Like that one quite a bit. And that'll take us to Lions at Cowboys. So should be a good one here. Highest over under the week at 52.5 points. Detroit is favored by 3. Dallas is getting 3, minus 110 either way. Money line is Lions minus 172, Cowboys plus 144. And I want to take Detroit Lions money line at minus 172. If you need, 5+ paragraphs of explanation, check out the article on IDP Plus. That's got you covered. The short version is Detroit is the 6th best rushing attack in the league. Dallas's run defense is absolutely atrocious. Plus, they're going to be missing Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, Deron Bland, and possibly Trayvon Diggs, too. He's beat up and, questionable for this week as well. Detroit has not won this game. Detroit has not beat the Dallas Cowboys since week 8 of 2013. That blew my freaking mind when I saw that. I did not know that that was real. So they're due, right? They are due. And if we take the 30,000 foot view on this, one team is maybe heading to the Super Bowl at the end of the year. The other team is swirling the toilet. And I think we know which one is which, right? So Detroit, beyond being the 6th best rushing attack in the league, is also the 7th best passing attack in the league. And Dallas does not have a pass rush this week. Micah Parsons ain't going to be there. DeMarcus Lawrence ain't going to be there. Sam Williams is not going to be there. Even the guy that had all the hype as the waiver wire replacement, can't even remember his name right now, got injured and is gone this week as well. So we are talking second and third string guys on the defensive line for the Cowboys this week. That pass rush is not going to be what we normally expect it to be. So Detroit's going to have all kinds of time if they want to pass the ball. If they want to run the ball, they're up against a Cowboys rush defense that's letting up. Last time I looked, it was 140 plus yards on the ground, including 190 plus to New Orleans and over 200 to Baltimore a couple weeks ago. So that is clearly the Cowboys defense, weakness to begin with. And it also happens to be the Lions' strength, their run game. So not great for the Cowboys across the board. Plus, the Cowboys are already one-dimensional. They are the second worst rushing attack in the league. They are not even averaging 100 yards per game on the ground. That is a true stat. They're only averaging about 80 rush yards a game. They are a one-dimensional team when it comes to offense. So Detroit knows that. They're not dumb. And if Dallas gets in a negative game script, they're going to be even more one-dimensional. So this thing is all lining up for Detroit with their already improved secondary, adding Carlton Davis in the offseason, drafting Terrion Arnold in the offseason, getting some pass rush help for Aiden Hutchinson in the offseason, to really be in a good position to take advantage of this. They're going to be able to just tee off on Dak. I would, if you're doing IDP bets, I'd take Aiden Hutchinson for a sack this week for damn sure. And that secondary is going to be in a good position to pick him off if you want to do a Dak interception prop. I'm sure that's a likely thing this week. But really, when we look at this, all the factors point towards Detroit winning this game. And taking them money line at minus 172 is not a bad price. I'll take that. So that's where I'm going with that one. Detroit money line minus 172. And quite frankly, it's a win-win for me. If Dallas does end up winning the game, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'll live. So, works for me either way. But that's how I think it's going to go. Detroit money line. And that will take us to Bengals at Giants, the Sunday night game. So right now, Cincinnati's favored by 3.5. Giants are getting 3.5, minus 110, either way on that. Higher over under, 48.5 points. Money line is Cincy minus 186, Giants plus 156. And I'm going to go back to the well. This guy hooked us up last week, and he's in a very similar situation this week. We're going to go Tee Higgins over 50 alt receiving yards at minus 150. And he's in a very good position to do this week. Kayvon Thibodeau is out, so the Giants' pass rush will be degraded. Drew Phillips is hurt, may not play this week. Zach Moss is hurt for Cincy, so they're going to have to rely on their pass offense a little bit more. Cincy's already the 5th best passing attack in the league, so that they rely on it plenty to start with. The Giants' pass defense is middle of the pack, and their pass rush is going to be downgraded a little bit this week. So everything points towards Cincinnati throwing the ball. Burrow is playing lights out. The Cincy defense is Swiss cheese. So, we're going to get a back and forth affair here. I don't think Cincinnati runs away with this game. Their defense is not good enough to run away with this game. The Giants will be able to stay with them. And as long as that's the case, Cincinnati's going to have to pass the ball. So Higgins will be involved. Especially if Neighbors can play, we know the Giants will really be able to stick with them. And even if he can't, we saw Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson do a fine job last week, better than fine job last week. So bottom line is the Giants will be able to hang with them enough that Cincinnati will have to throw the ball early and often, and Higgins will have the lesser of all evils when it comes to cornerback matchup. Deonte Banks is probably going to be on Jamar Chase. You put your best corner on their best receiver, right? So that means Drew Phillips, Cordell Flott, one of the rookies is going to be on Tee Higgins, and having a rookie cornerback up against a Pro Bowler, Tee Higgins, is probably not great for the Giants and is very great for us with this bet. Tee Higgins, 50 plus alt receiving yards, minus 150. DraftKings is making it easier to win big. Deposit $50 and get $50 in bonus bets. With IDP Plus Insights and DraftKings, you'll be racking up those fantasy points in no time. Grab your bonus now at idpplus.com/DraftKings. This offer expires on 10/22. And that'll take us to Monday night. We got a AFC East showdown. Bills and Jets. Right now, Buffalo's favored by 2.5. Jets are getting 2.5, minus 110 either way. Little bit of a lower over-under here, 40.5 points. Money line is Buffalo minus 142, Jets plus 120. And I'm going to tweak this up a few points. Alt line under 45.5, minus 195. It is a shit price. It is what it is. Parlay round robin it, or tweak it whichever way you need to get an acceptable price. But I feel like this is a number that has a good chance of actually happening. That's why I picked it. So I want to go alt line under 45.5 at minus 195. I think James Cooks is looking like he's not going to play this week. Same thing with Khalil Shakir. So Buffalo's having some issues offensively, going to be missing some pieces this week. Their defense, though, is getting healthy. Terrell Bernard came back last week, had a pick, had some tackles, looked pretty good. Teron Johnson probably starting this week, probably playing this week. That's their, best or second best cornerback, depending if you think Rasul is better or not. They're both excellent. So their defense is getting healthy. Their offense is not, right? So that's one side of this. And the Jets' problems are well documented. right? Injuries, shenanigans, maniac quarterback leading the way, getting the coach fired, just a dumpster fire, right? And their offense has been amongst the worst in the league. So, I don't think we need to worry about the Jets scoring 30 points and screwing this thing up for us. Their defense is fully intact, though. CJ Mosley should be back this week. Hell, there was even talk about Hassan Reddick coming back from his holdout. So I doubt that's going to happen before Sunday. But, Mosley should be back at least, and the rest of that defense is pretty healthy. So, both these defenses are intact, looking good, and very good to begin with. Both of these offenses have problems this week. So that kind of points us towards the under to begin with. But, what do we know? We don't trust Vegas when it comes to their total. So let's tweak it a few points. We'll say under 45.5 at minus 195. And hopefully we get in under that number, and that should do the trick for us. Yeah, and just don't be afraid to parlay round robin these, and keep an eye on it during the games. So what I've done in recent weeks this season is take all these bets, parlay round robin them together, choose it so that any combination of two of these 10 or 11 or 12 bets, when they hit, will pay out, right? And then I keep an eye on it. If I've hit a whole bunch of them through the 1 o'clock games, I'll leave things alone. If it's not going well, I can cash out early and still end up with a little bit of a profit. This type of bet is more a bankroll builder, not a kill shot, right? It's going to give you more consistent payouts over the course of the season, not the huge payout that's going to allow you to retire, right? That's what an actual parlay is for. But parlay round robin allows you to take all kinds of these individual bets, put them together, and get a few wrong and still end up on the positive side of things, still make some money. So I cannot recommend that enough. That is one of the best things I've discovered about betting is parlay round robin. Since we've had it out here the last 3-4 years. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. Hopefully we can keep the winning streak going. Regardless, good luck in week 6. Thank you all for listening. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.